In this video, I'm going to talk about why revolutionaries fail. What is a revolutionary? A revolutionary is someone who partakes in a revolution. You may say, Rashid, duh, that's obvious. Revolution, revolutionary. Yes, I understand. It's easy in the English language. Revolution, revolutionary. But I want you to get the context here. What is a revolution? A revolution is when a sudden change occurs in a very short time span. An example, you had the Bourbon dynasty that governed the Kingdom of France. The Kingdom of France was abolished, then you had the French Revolutionary Republic. So you had the Kingdom of France, which was not a nation state, was just the name of the territory was France, and French was the spoken language of the government, but not everyone within the territory spoke French. You had people that spoke a British dialect somewhere in the northwest, you had people that spoke Dutch, you had people that spoke Italian, you had people that spoke German, even people that spoke Occitanian. So very few people actually spoke French as a native language. That was the Kingdom of France. Then you had the French Republic. And now everyone was considered a Frenchman and he had to learn French. Now, of course, you had people from the Kingdom of France that spoke French if they went abroad. Of course. French also became a diplomatic language, so even people outside of the territory called the Kingdom of France spoke French. But there was no French nation state. So, after the French Revolution, suddenly you had the Republic and everyone was a Frenchman. That's it's a sudden change. So all the people that spoke German have to learn French. All the people that spoke Occitanian had to identify as French people, so they had to speak French first instead of their regional language, Occitanian. And what happened with the French Revolution? It was a big failure. It ended up in a military dictatorship called the French Empire, led by Napoleon Bonaparte, who was from an Italian family born on Corsica. Corsica was part of the Kingdom of France, but it were Italian people that lived there. So Napoleon came, identified himself as a Frenchman, even though his last name was Italian and his family was Italian. So now he used the French Republic to build the French Empire. And soon the French Empire collapsed, yet the Bourbon dynasty restored, then you had several French republics afterwards. I believe we are in the 5th French Republic at the moment. What is a revolution? A sudden change in a short time span. And the change happened so quickly that people are shocked. They don't know what to do with it. That brings me to the following, why revolutionaries fail. They don't see the context. A revolutionary, in general, there are some exceptions. A revolutionary sees an issue he or she wants to avoid. And he or she joins others who think just like him or just like her. And as a group, the revolutionaries, they fight against the common thing that they are against. They develop a strong bond together, fighting against that one thing. But what happens after that thing is gone? What always happens is that there's euphoria. They've won. The king has been beheaded, or the tyrant is dethroned, or that party has lost elections. Whatever it is that they wanted to win, they've won. So there's euphoria. First week after the victory, there's euphoria. When the second week begins, people begin to think, okay, we've been partying for a week now, but what are we going to do now? Yes, we don't have the French king anymore, but now we have this thing called the French Republic, but a lot of people here don't even speak French. So how are we going to live in this thing called the Republic of France? Well, most people don't even speak French here. How are we going to do it? And then the revolutionaries think, oi is Dutch for oh there. So they think, oh dear, yep, the King of France is gone, we don't have a French kingdom anymore, the Bourbons are not bothering us anymore, they're not exploiting us with taxes, but we have so many different ethnicities over here. Each speak their own language, and French is the language of the country, but most people prefer to use their regional language, and now they all need to learn French. That's not going to work well, because everyone wants to hold on to their regional leverage. And then the revolutionaries will realize, hold on, we were complaining about the Bourbon dynasty, but at least under the Bourbon king, each region had its own institutions that was supervised by the Kingdom of France. So whenever there was conflict, each autonomous community dealt with their own trash. Now we are a republic, we need to centralize and deal with the trash of everyone. So now we need to deal with the violence and the conflicts of everyone. Whoa, now the revolutionaries don't know what to do anymore. That's how revolutionaries are 99% of the time. They don't look beyond, they don't look ahead, they don't look at the bigger picture. They don't think, what will we do after our enemy is defeated? What will we do after this problem is fixed? They don't know. And some of those revolutionaries, if you would ask them this question while they're protesting or while they're marching or while they're campaigning, they would say, it's going to be a better future, it's going to be this and that. They have these vague promises that they are shouting all over the place, but if you ask them steps, how they will materialize these things, they don't know. Their mentality is, we'll figure it out later. And when the moment comes and they get what they want and they need to figure it out, they won't figure it out. So what happens is that you had a situation that may have been bad and now it's becoming worse. But between the bad and the worse, there's a short space of relief, a short time span where there's relief. And revolutionaries are all about the short time span of relief. That's what they're fighting for. They have nothing in mind for what comes after that euphoria of relief. Now, why am I talking about the revolutionaries? It is because in pagan Christianity, there's this movement that teaches believers to be like the revolutionaries for Christ. And I get it. Many of those pastors intend well. I don't blame them. I'm talking about the real pastors now. We're deceived. I'm not talking about those pagan pastors who willingly cooning, that means deceiving their own people. There's one there's one problematic thing with being a revolutionary for Christ. It is possible, but here's the thing. Christ instructed us to look at the bigger picture and to look beyond. Christ instructed us to be constructive. A revolutionary, by design, is only focused on getting relief from the mountain. And they fight against the mountain, but okay, if someone is a revolutionary for Christ, that's only possible if they are uninformed and therefore they operate in ignorance. Then it can be a revolutionary for Christ. Once they progress in knowledge, they're not a revolutionary for Christ anymore. Now they are a co-heir of Christ. Now they walk in Christ's strength. And here's the thing. Christ told us to speak to the mountain. Do revolutionaries speak against their mountains? No. They scream about their mountains. They fight about their mountains. They drop bombs on their mountains, but they don't speak to their mountains. Not speaking in the sense that they are in dialogue with their mountain. They don't command the mountain to move. Why? Because they don't walk in the power of Christ. What revolutionaries have is violence to combat another type of violence, but are still left with violence afterwards. That's why many revolutionaries, after they get their victory, they turn on the people they want to deliver. They had people they want to liberate or deliver, but they turn on those same people when they realize that there is no long-term reward for the revolution they fought for. So revolutionaries fail when it comes to long-term constructive solutions. So beware that you're not swept away by revolutionaries. Because revolutionaries will say things that are true. They may say things that are practical, but do they have a long-term constructive vision for what happens after they get their victory? It's the same thing with this Brexit thing that's going on in Britain. None of the Brexiteers that campaigned before the referendum in 2016, none of them had constructive long-term plans for how the United Kingdom would continue after losing, or better said, for failing its membership of the EU. None. And when the Leave vote was casted, when the Leave vote was published, now they had to come with a plan. But where's the plan? There's still no plan till this day. And yet they keep campaigning for Brexit. Revolutionaries. Sudden change with a short time span. A quick fix to relieve yourself. What happens afterwards? I'm telling you, believer, do not be swept away by revolutionaries. Some revolutionaries are just deceived. They have good intentions and they really want to fight injustice. They really want injustice to end. Okay, that's a noble attitude that they want injustice to end. But they are trapped, they are deceived. They think that by fighting against injustice, automatically peace will appear. That's not how it goes. Just because you remove a demonic stronghold doesn't mean that peace manifests out of itself. Peace is something you need to walk in as a group and as an individual. So if you cast out 10,000 evil spirits from a neighborhood, but the people that live there don't want to walk in peace, they don't want to walk in solutions, then you've cast out those 10,000 demons for nothing. Because before you know it, you will have 20,000 demons that will take their place. But if you cast out those 10,000 demons while the people are repenting and they're becoming constructive, then soon none of those demons will return. So revolutionaries really, let's say in general, they replace the darkness. They don't destroy darkness, they replace it. That's why one revolution will lead to the next oppression, and that oppression will trigger another revolution. That's how it goes on and on and on. It's a cycle. So, do not be swept away by revolutionaries. Always look at the bigger picture, agree with Christ, and walk in the power. Be at peace.